And Cousy got the ball. He throws it straight up in the air. It's all over. And there they go. They've won it again.
There was this complete unselfishness. I've seen guys be unselfish once in a while, but in our team, no one really cared to have the glory.
You couldn't ask for more out of life than what we had going for us in Portland. The fans loved us all, and it was a perfect situation.
It was Dockstein. Guys looked to him. Players would respond to him. There was such great respect for Julius.
You are watching what greatness is all about.
I always thought about winning first, not just out there to score points, not just out there to put on a show, but to win. Winning is the most important thing to me because you always remember the winners, you never remember the losers.
Champions, the NBA's greatest teams. In the early days of the NBA, there was one player and one team that towered above all others. For George Mikan and his Minneapolis Lakers, the years 1949 to 1954 were undoubtedly the best of times. During that 6-year span, the Lakers captured 5 titles, and Big George would become known as Mr. Basketball.
He was a giant among giants. He was bigger and stronger than anybody else.
Standing at 6'10" and weighing 245 pounds, Mikan overwhelmed opponents.
He was a difficult man to move, to budge once he got his spot. And to play behind him was death. I mean, you couldn't stop him.
But Mikan was not only the league's most unstoppable force, he was also its most recognizable figure. And it was not unusual for George to receive top billing, often at the expense of his teammates. But contrary to popular opinion, these Lakers were not a one-man gang. Forwards Jim Pollard and Vern Mickelson were perennial all-stars.
Vern was an awesome physical specimen, man, 6'7", 260, just beat you to death.
While the bruising Mickelson labored in the trenches, the acrobatic Pollard did his work in midair.
We called him the Kangaroo Kid. He had fantastic ability, and he was one of the forerunners of the Michael Jordans and the Elgin Baylors. He could jump and run like a deer.
And with backcourt ace Slater Martin launching set shots from outside, Coach John Kundla had a variety of weapons at his disposal. Out of desperation, opposing coaches instructed their players to hold the ball, preventing the Lakers from scoring, slowing the game to a crawl. It was during one such game of keep-away that the Lakers' 29-game home-winning streak was snapped.
People were hollering, they wanted their money back and they wanted all that kind of stuff. But the coach Mendenhall from Fort Wayne decided that the only way to beat the Lakers is to take the air out of the ball.
But even holding the ball couldn't stop Mikan's Lakers. After winning the 1954 title, George retired, ending the Minneapolis dynasty. But he and his Lakers had produced not only championships, but change. In 1954, the league adopted a 24-second clock to prevent stalling, ushering in a different style of basketball and paving the way for a new dynasty. When Bill Russell joined the Boston Celtics for the 1957 season, Boston would gain the cornerstone for that dynasty. With Russell in the pivot, controlling the backboards and exhibiting unparalleled mobility for a man of his size, the Celtics unleashed a running attack that was perfectly tailored for the up-tempo game. But Russell was not only the catalyst of the offense, he was the anchor of the defense.
He had such great quickness and agility that he could play 3 or 4 guys on the same trip up the court, switch off, go back to his own man, block a shot. So he would disrupt their whole entire offense.
I can remember playing against him in the fourth quarter, and I went in for 4 layups in the fourth quarter. He blocked the first 2, and I missed the next 2 looking for him.
The guy comes in, and you block the shot, and then you go down and you get an easy layup. These things make statements. And then you might look at him and smile and say, yes, we did that to you.
I think Russell was the foxiest, smartest, meanest player psychologically that ever played the game. Whatever it took to win, Russell would do.
If Russell was the foundation of the new Celtics, then Coach Red Auerbach was their visionary architect.
Styles of play have changed too, making for a more aggressive, crowd-pleasing brand of ball. The key to this new style of play is the fast break, where every action is directed to moving the ball into scoring position before the defense has a chance to get set.
The man to whom Auerbach would entrust this new-look offense was Bob Cousy, the unorthodox playmaker who made purists cringe.
Arnold's position was always, hey, you know, you want to pass a little differently or whatever, that's fine as long as it works.
And it usually did, as Cousy proved to be an uncanny passer whose flamboyance did not hinder his accuracy.
If you want somebody to run your fast break, get the rebound and run your fast break, no one did it like Cousy.
With Cousy and Russell, the Celtics possessed the NBA's most spectacular running attack. But Boston's offense was not limited to the fast break. Perennial All-Star Bill Sharman gave them deadly perimeter shooting, teaming with Cousy to form the league's best backcourt. While the Tommy gun, Tom Heinsohn, was a high-scoring forward who would take and make shots from all angles. Frank Ramsey gave them instant offense off the bench as one of the game's first sixth men. And with the Joneses in reserve, Sam, the great clutch shooter, and KC, the defensive stopper, Red Auerbach had a team that was loaded with talent and primed to overwhelm even the most formidable opponents.
I had to worry about the Celtics. I didn't have to worry about guarding Bill Russell. I had to worry about Cousy, Ramsey, Heinsohn, Sam Jones, Casey Jones. They had just too many guns.
The Celtics began to hang championship banners with regularity, completely dominating the league. They owed their continued success not only to the players' talent, but also to their unique philosophy.
Red would tell you, you do the job for us, you will be here for your entire career. It was a big deal for a guy to be able to buy a house and live and bring his kids up in a community, right? It got to the point where everybody believed him, and you would train your replacement. Now, that's unheard of in pro sports, where you would train your replacement because you had this feeling of loyalty to the ball club.
Younger Celtics would eventually supplant their aging mentors. Sam and KC replaced Cousy and Sharman in the backcourt. Satch Sanders became a fixture at forward. And John Havlicek emerged as Boston's new sixth man. Some things, however, remained unchanged. There was Bill Russell's intimidating presence, Red Auerbach's watchful eyes, and, of course, championships to celebrate.
And the buzzer goes off, it's all over. The Boston Celtics are once again the world champions.
Through each new training camp, Boston's drive to win another title remained undimmed.
I used to tell them, you won a championship last year, you had a good summer. You went around all over, people look at you, you're a world champion. You're a member of the greatest basketball team in the world. I said, isn't that a lot of fun? I said, so let's go out and get the job done. We got the players, let's win it again.
From 1957 to 1969, the Celtics had little trouble following Red's advice as they won an astonishing 11 championships in 13 seasons. Piling up title after title, they built an aura of invincibility.
You know somehow, okay, what kind of lead you have, how the game is going. Somehow it's like magic. They seem to pull it out.
Come playoff time, the resourceful Celtics seemed to have an answer for every situation, whether it was Cousy dribbling out the clock in 1962.
And there they go. They've won it again.
Havlicek protecting their lead in 1965.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over to Sam Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over.
Or Sam Jones hitting his game-winning shot in 1969. The postseason belonged to Boston for over a decade, as the Celtics' indomitable will helped them forge a legacy of unequaled success.
Guys like Sam and Havlicek, Heinsohn, Cousy, Sharman, Ramsey, Satch, Casey. These guys wanted to win every game, every year. We didn't have to find something external to want to win. It came from within our team.
Bill Russell's retirement at the conclusion of the 1969 season would signify the end of the Celtic era. Now, a different kind of team would step forward, one not built around a dominant player, but rather a shared philosophy.
Everyone was mature enough to recognize that none of us would be as strong individually as all of us were together.
Playing unselfishly was the foundation of their success. Following the guidelines of their coach, William Red Holzman, they adhere to an egalitarian system whose principles were straightforward.
The open man philosophy, hitting the open man, not looking at who's in the uniform, but when you see a white shirt open, get the ball to that man.
It was a style of play that was ideally suited for the sharpshooting Knicks.
I think we had one of the most unique teams in NBA history because all 5 players were good perimeter shooters. You usually don't find that on a team.
With their big men as dangerous from long range as their guards, the Knicks stretched defenses to the breaking point and were impossible to stop with the game on the line.
Any player on our team would be willing to take the last second shot. You see some players on some teams, there will only be 1 or 2 players who'll be willing to take the last second shot because all the burden is on your shoulders, right? They don't want the ball. Throw it, get it away from me. You know, it's like it's hot. Don't they throw it and throw it back. But on our team, everyone was able and did from time to time take that last second shot.
The concept of shared responsibility was also the foundation of the Knick defense.
Everything was involved around team defense, not a man defense. When a guy scored, he scored against the team, not an individual.
What we try to do is take a team that had a weakness, try to exploit it. If a guy would not pass the basketball, if a guy took the basketball and he turned his back and things like that, so we would try to go and trap the basketball on him and do those kinds of things.
But for the Knicks, defense was more than just a science. It was a passion, and it would become their rallying cry.
When they started to chant the defense, I felt that I would do something to steal the ball. I was that psyched up that I could make it happen. Certain nights I thought we would fall downstairs in the garden. This place was rocking, so everyone would be jumping and stomping and making noise. I can recall times late in the third quarter, we were out of the game, the starting 5, because we had such a tremendous lead. And all of that was predicated on defense.
The Knicks were a team in perfect sync as they cruised to the league's best record, advancing through the playoffs as expected. They made their way towards a climactic finals battle with the awesomely talented Lakers. The unstoppable Wilt Chamberlain, the spectacular Elgin Baylor, and the deadly Jerry West. These 3 legendary superstars would issue the ultimate challenge to the Knick team concept. With league MVP Willis Reed and the Mammoth Chamberlain battling to a standstill, the teams would split the first 4 games. But in the pivotal 5th game, the delicately balanced Knicks were thrown suddenly into chaos.
Play, and Willis is hurt.
I was thinking, well, there goes the championship. Willis was the backbone of the team, and without him, I didn't see any way that we could contain Chamberlain.
The Knicks, under any ordinary circumstances, not considered a big basketball team. And right now, they are a very small basketball team with 6'6.5" Dave DeBusschere at center against 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain.
All I tried to do was just stay between him and the basket and hope that, we'd get help from somebody on the side or out front, because there's nothing you can do with Wilt one-on-one.
But one-on-one was not how these Knicks played. They would defend Chamberlain as a team, confusing him and rattling the stunned Lakers.
It's loose, taken by Garrett of the Lakers. He bullets one down court, but is intercepted by the Busher. Fast break for the next to Busher on the drive. Leads Reardon, driving shot is good. Incredible defense by the Knicks. Garrett loses to Frazier. He's ahead of the field. He's down the lane. Scoops and hits.
The Knicks would beat the Lakers that night, defying logic with a stubborn belief in each other. And though they would lose Game 6 in L.A., as Reed watched from the bench in street clothes, in the decisive 7th game, they would once again find strength in each other.
When the team left the locker room, nobody knew if Willis was going to come out.
The big question is, will Willis Reed play tonight? There is tremendous doubt right now.
There he is, he appears.
Here comes Willis.
He hits his first 2 shots.
Outside Reed, jumps from 20. Yes! Willis has hit on his first 2.
And that tells us all we can do this. And we did.
West across the midcourt, loses to Frazier, drives ahead of the field down.
Though Willis would not score again, he would not need to. He had inspired his teammates, and they would do the rest.
Frazier, top of the key, outside the Busher, in the corner Frazier, he drives, to Barnett for a jump, yes!
You know, at different points in times, there were always somebody to step forward or to say the right thing, to do the right thing. I mean, I think that's the kind of team we were.
For the Los Angeles Lakers, this was an all too familiar scene. Though they had reached the finals 7 of the last 9 years, each trip had ended in agonizing defeat.
It was the most disgusting personal period I've ever had in my life. I wanted to win a championship, and I really didn't think that that was ever going to happen.
With Elgin Baylor's retirement prior to the 1972 season, it began to look like time had passed the aging Lakers by.
Now I'm playing with a Laker team that has the great Jerry West, who was in his twilight, and Wilt Chamberlain, who was in his twilight, and Gail Goodrich, as far as was the star of the team, and names that you would not even know. I can't even tell you who the heck they were. You understand? We did not have this awesome talent.
Now a less overpowering team, these Lakers would have to redefine their roles. And newly appointed captain Wilt Chamberlain would lead the way.
I was now the defensive hub of this team, and that was what my job was all about, getting the ball and playing defense and giving the ball to these guys. So it just kind of all worked out really, really well. And as we meshed, we amassed numbers that were unbelievable.
Playing off Wilt, the other Lakers were each at the top of their games. And none flourished more than Goodrich and West, combining to score over 52 points per game. They made the Lakers almost impossible to stop.
All of a sudden, this team started winning basketball games. And we went along and went along and went along. 1 month went by, 2 months went by.
When you get to 17, 18, 19 wins, now people are saying, like, wow, can they ever lose?
Piling up victory after victory, the Lakers became more cohesive with every game.
We did everything the way the coach wanted, and everything worked for us. And it got to be almost funny because we knew no one could beat us. I mean, we felt invincible.
For 33 straight contests, the Lakers were invincible as they compiled a modern-day sports record win streak. They would go on to win 69 regular season games, the most in NBA history. But the Laker veterans knew that the postseason would be their time of judgment.
I always felt that Wilt, in some respects, has gotten a bum rap for not winning more championships. Wilt Chamberlain, like Jerry West, was probably the best runner-up in most occasions.
Despite their magnificent season, these Lakers knew that if they failed to lift their finals heads, they would be remembered only as losers. As they had in 1970, they would face the Knicks. But this year, there would be no miracle upsets. The Lakers were also Rands no longer, dispatching New York in 5 games. They would go down in history as one of the NBA's greatest winners.
Goodrich passes under to Wilt. He's got it. He puts it up and slam dunk.
This was something that I'd hoped and wished for in the earlier days of my career. It was wonderful. We finally won.
For that Laker team to do what they did, I still think that they did more in the game of basketball than any other team for the talent that they had.
In his younger days, Chamberlain would provide the crucial element for another team, one, however, that was not about overachievement.
The best team I ever played for was the Philadelphia 76ers. We had the ultimate in a power forward in Luke Jackson. We had the greatest one-on-one player in Chet Walker playing the other forward.
Along with Chamberlain, Jackson and Walker comprised history's most star-studded front line, while at guard, the explosive Wally Jones and pure-shooting Hal Greer formed an almost equally formidable backcourt.
Now, when you have all that going for you, then you have something that had just started to become established in the NBA, and that was the sixth man.
My responsibility was to come in and, in most cases, give a spark offensively for the ball club.
With Cunningham leading a deep Philly bench, the Sixers were stocked with superstars.
We just had balance. We had everything that a team would need, a team that you could dream about to be the perfect team, and we had a team like that.
But talent alone was not enough to end the Celtics' decade-long championship reign. The Sixers would need something more.
The key word there is an overused word, but is chemistry. But you got this team and me in the center, and we've been together now for a couple of years. It just all really came together. I think our first 44 games, we were 41-3.
The NBA's scoring champion for 7 seasons, Wilt would now sacrifice his offensive output to lead a more balanced attack. The Sixers' anchor on both ends of the floor. He would set the tone for their new unselfish style of play.
He was a leader, and he led by example. Whenever he said he would do something or set a goal, he would do it.
Recording an unprecedented 68-win season, the Sixers readied themselves to achieve their ultimate goal.
And it was like everyone knew, this is it. You know, there's no chance. We're gonna beat the Celtics.
The fanatically confident Sixers would devastate the Celtics, gaining vengeance on their nemesis and convincingly ending an era of Celtic postseason supremacy.
Well, the Celtics on the brink of defeat for the first time since 1956. Gamely trying, but they did not have it here in the second half.
The finals would be a mere formality. The first team other than the Celtics to win a championship in a decade. The Sixers completed the transformation from a collection of all-stars to one of the greatest teams in NBA history.